Welcome to the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority. Open session agenda is about 6:45 p.m. Call to order. Roll call.
Mayor Camilo Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Javier Moreno is absent. Councilmember Gloria Romo. Present. Councilmember Victor Legaspi. Present. Councilmember Lisa Tylinda.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. If we can just get up for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may sit down. Closed session announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council went in closed session. There are two items. We only did hear item number 1, and on that item received direction, but no reportable actions. For item number 2 on the closed session agenda, we'll be reconvening at the end of the meeting back into closed session for that item. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. If I can have a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda for June 26th.
Second.
Roll call. Motion by Ms. Tylinda, second by Mr. Legaspi.
Mayor Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Javier Moreno is absent. Councilmember Gloria Romo. Yes. Councilmember Victor Legaspi. Yes. Councilmember Lisa Tylinda.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And before we start, I just want to make an announcement. Antes de que empecemos, quiero hacer un anuncio de que tenemos traducción simultánea. Las personas que necesiten traducción pueden ir a la mesa que está allá atrás. Ahí les van a proveer un dispositivo para que puedan obtener la traducción. Cuando vengan también a hacer comentarios al frente, si por favor pueden hablar al micrófono claro y fuerte para que lo puedan escuchar y se pueda hacer la traducción simultánea. Entonces ahí está la señorita ahí atrás, les va a decir cómo pueden obtener el dispositivo. Les doy un tiempecito si quieren ir a hacer eso para que puedan obtener su traducción simultánea. Si usted necesita escuchar la reunión traducida al español, puede obtener un dispositivo. Cuando usted venga a hablar, puede hablar en español, no hay problema. Okay. Gracias. Thank you. So if you need simultaneous translation, we have someone in the back that is actually doing that. You may do so. You can go in the back and get a device that will be helping you, assisting you in obtaining a translation. And again, I will give you a couple of minutes to do that. And if not, also, when you come to the microphone, if you can speak into the microphone clearly and loud so the translator can listen to your statements, and that can be translated, real time. So we'll go ahead and continue with public comments and public appearances, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on the special agenda items only. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Group commenters may be requested to limit their group comments to 15 minutes. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Do we have any public comments?
Yes. June Kim.
Good evening, the public and citizens and council member and then city employees. One of the reasons I hear right now today, I believe it's 1 or 2 meetings ago, council member was saying that we're having street cleaning service, but it's not true. And even sometimes they just, when they have leaves in the street, they just pass, they're not sweeping, they just away from the trash to pick it up, which is the process officer picked up the trash, they didn't do it. And also downtown,
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
the comments are not just on the items on the
Yes.
agenda, not public, not general comments. Your comments should be on the agenda items, not on general comments.
what's the general comments?
No, but this is not this is a special meeting.
Yeah,
It's
just want to
not a regular meeting, this is not a special meeting.
It is a special meeting, sir.
No, okay.
Correct. If you recall, for special meetings, comments can only relate to the items on the agenda. For regular meetings, yeah, we do have a general public comment section, but not for special
Okay,
meetings.
then I'll exercise it to that one for another chance. I didn't have a chance to say, okay, yeah, right, because it's 24 hours of meeting call. Okay. I was mentioned last time, the city has more than $60 million in water and wastewater. And the city wants to raise the, another rate, water rate, is something wrong down there. And also, I've been seeing I can mention the other ones later on, but like last meeting I explained, City of Calexico doesn't funded any repair on the street. So potholes, they're not going to be, city not going to be repaired because no budget there. Sidewalk issues, City of Calexico is not going to do it. So, and besides that, especially what I was trying to say, today, so we approve the budget, but this is not the budget, just like a summary. Are we going to go back to what the City of Calexico used to be for all the issues? I believe the City of Calexico failing transparency for the public. There's no details on the budget, just about 3 pages. I understand we have some changes on the administration staffs, but they're supposed to be ready because that one is like from financial departments, they're supposed to come ready, regardless city manager comes in or not, they're supposed to be ready. But this is not the budget. We're talking about the 1 year's budget to talking about the details here. Of course, they have some hearings or they have some discussion, details, but where's all the details?
Mr. Kim.
Okay, so you got, city council has to be open all the information to the public. This budget is not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No public comments? More public comments? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, Successor Agency, or Calexico Financing Authority, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately by the council. So, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Roll call.
Mayor Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Javier Moreno is absent. Councilmember Gloria Romo. Councilmember Victor Legaspi. Councilmember Lisa Thailenda.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now we move to the discussion of potential action items. Item number 4, annual budget resolution for fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, presented by interim finance director. And if you still need translation services, that is still available. You still have time to go get your device. So if not, we'll proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, Council and members of the public. The City Council received a presentation on the 24-25 proposed budget on June 12, 2024. A budget workshop was conducted on June 20th, 2024, during which each city department presented details about their operations and budget requests. During the workshops, I do want to make some clarifications. The summer swim program, the Recreation Department summer swim program is fully funded for 2024-25. The early and late summer portions of the 2024 season is funded from ARPA funds. The early summer 25 portion is funded by Measure H. Prospective swim seasons are also funded within the Measure H Fund long-term projection listed on the Fund 120 for Measure H. Further, a dedicated revenue account to track new summer swim fee collections has been established in the general fund for City's Council discretion to apply to future summer swim budget allocations. During the workshop, also it was discussed about the ARPA status. During the budget workshops, information about the status of the city's federal ARPA grant was requested. The ARPA grant is tracked in Capital Projects Fund 255, and a detailed listing of cumulative ARPA allocation spending and available balances is available in the proposed budget book on page 144 and 145. A copy of these detailed ARPA pages is also included with this agenda report for your reference as attachment A. During the budget workshop as well, City Council members expressed support for future budget priorities for equipment as funds become available, including but not limited to technology efforts and library air conditioning units replacements of two of the 5 identified. There is a slight update for the proposed budget, and this report recommends one update to the proposed budget that incorporates a new total for the operating grants available in Fund 221 for the library grant. The revised library grant expenditure is going to be $80,078. And the revised net citywide expenditures, $167,484,832. And the difference is $3,000 from what we had proposed. At this time, it is recommended that the City Council consider a resolution to adopt the 24-25 annual budget report. And that's
Thank you.
what I'm proposing.
So going back to what we had asked and that you bringing up tonight, I know on the collection of fees for the summer pool program, so that was an account was created just to set aside those monies, right?
The revenues, yes.
Correct.
That
And
way we
that
can
those
allocate.
monies won't be touched, even though they're part of the general fund, but those monies won't be touched, correct?
What, they'll be able to be considered for something for the summer school, the summer program.
But, so that will be the intended use for the future for the summer pool program? Okay.
Yes, but I just want to do another clarification. Even
Okay.
though we state that the revenues for the recreation or the library or any department, the revenues that they receive, they do not sustain that program or
Yes,
the
you know,
department.
and that is understood.
Okay.
But it's just that we just want to make sure that, you know, if we set aside or we give direction that, you know, those revenues, whatever revenues come in, that they're put aside, they're put aside for that specific use.
Yes.
I think that was the whole idea
It
and
will be
direction.
part of the,
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. Any questions, comments?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead and start before we continue.
Do you want to go first? No? Okay. We can jump around. So I do want to ask questions on attachment A. So the City of Calexico ARPA allocation, spending, and available balances. Ms. Sandy, City Manager, could you kind of clarify what this means entirely, so that it's a reflection of how the remainder of ARPA is to be spent? Could you kind of explain what's going on in these 2 pages, please?
Yes. These pages are also in the budget book, and what you'll see is every detailed fund allocation for the ARPA. You'll see the allocations to your left, the expenditures in the middle that have been occurred, and the available funding for each of those allocations. And as of June 12th, when we published the budget, the funding available from ARPA was $4,400,700.928.
Right, and these 2 pages reflect expending those funds entirely, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So everything on these 2 pages is how the remainder of ARPA is to be spent. I have, let me see. Here's my question. And it's all here's my question. When is the deadline to spend the ARPA?
2026.
Okay, so 2026, and in theory, we're proposing to spend it by 2025.
We have to have the allocations by 2025, and we can spend it up to 2026.
Correct, okay.
Is it to 2024 allocations and expenditure in 2026? Is that, I thought it was 2024 that we had to allocate and then fully spend it on 2026. I mean, I might be wrong, but I thought that was my understanding.
I believe it was 25, but I'll go back and check and let you guys know the detail.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no,
Go
no, no,
ahead and
of
continue.
course, no, that's fine. So in the complete budget document that was presented a few council meetings ago, it line items the tentative improvements at Fire Station 2. I do have questions on that item. How much have we spent up until now, and what do we have projected for the remainder of it, and where will the funds come from?
Yeah, so the current spending that we have had so far from engineering construction management for the inspections at fire station number 2, that went out to $166,600. Construction alone with the change order and whatnot from 1 to 12 has come out to 1.5 million with a total of 1.8.
So as of
So the total revenue, right? Total expenditures were at 1.7 with a remaining balance of 55,000 for fire station number 2.
okay,
I hope no other issues come up, because going and looking for additional monies, it's going to be, maybe from ARPA or whatnot, but yeah, we don't want to go and do that.
okay. So the CDBG grant money, the $600 and some $1,000, they've in theory have already been spent, right?
Correct.
So then, we've already exhausted the CDBG grant that's outlined in the budget. There's potential for $500,000 if the state approves that at some point. If it doesn't, where are we looking at pulling funding from?
For emergency funding, what we're using is from the ARPA, right? pulling from opera reserve, so we would have to go back and look at your attachment E, which itemize all the already projected and see what has not been used to try to pull from
From there.
whatever might be needed for fire station number 2, so we can allocate that toward finishing the station.
Okay.
But we gotta take in mind, once ARPA money is over, we're gonna dip into our regular reserve, or we're gonna have to come up with solutions to bring in more revenue for the city to up our reserve again.
Okay.
But at least with that, remember, let's keep in mind that, fire station 2 is scheduled to be completed by October. So we
October
wouldn't have to,
31st.
go into general fund, or any other reserves, because we will have to get it from ARPA. From what I hear, there's some monies, there's some monies that, still, are being recaptured. So we just have to make sure, and to Councilwoman Stylenda's, comments, what I do want to have is in this here, on the expenditures that we have done, on ARPA, but then also ARPA has been used for many projects that have come up, as an emergency, or to finish up something that, somehow we were short, hence, Fire Station 1 and the parks. So I think it's just going back, and I appreciate the work done on this. But, I think to Ms. Alenda's point, and I know that she just came in, so just trying to get an understanding of all this budget and what's available, what's not, the projects, where they are, as far as funding and completion. So I think more of the breakdown and the complete understanding and description of what's available and what could we use, and then also understanding the timelines that we have for this, not just on the project, but also on the use of this funding. And a status update on the potential grant, the $500,000 that the previous city manager was alluding, every time, and we set aside some monies, about 300,000, pending on, that we wouldn't touch those, or we wouldn't put them as part of that project. So we didn't have to tell the state, say, well, we're using this, quoting, some of the what was said, going for that money first, for the 500,000, and if that didn't pan out, then we will get into ARPA. So if we can just also get a status update on that, that would be great.
Yes, sir.
In the workshop, I see that we asked for the AC units. What is being worked on to address that?
So,
For the Carnegie Library.
for the Carnegie, correct? So, as you can see, there's still monies available, them, as you said, the Gatsby had requested. We had Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. So there's still monies available from the Carnegie ARPA fund request, $35,000. This past week, we met with a potential partner, San Diego State, potentially coming in and partnering and joining and doing a partnership program with the city for a technology center. They might have potential monies, so our direction was to hold off on using that, meet with San Diego State officials, and do a walk through Carnegie Hall to see what renovations and whatnot might be used, and combined monies to see that project move forward. So we are holding off on that $35,000.
Wonderful. I have another question. Park lights. There's a lot of parks that are still pinning the lights, but that's going to get taken care of once we approve the budget, because I was given feedback. If you could touch on that, Ms.
Yes,
Sandy.
Public Works did request funds for lighting. There's one that she did request 150,000. We are allocating 50,000 for now, and we deferred the other part. But yes, we do have funding for lighting.
Okay. And I'd like, if you could, briefly, if you can, explain the budget process, how we're approving it tonight, just in short, and how, if we need to make any changes in the future, how it's done and when it's typically done.
The budget right now, we're proposing it for adoption. That's why I come in a quarterly basis to make any changes. If we have more revenue, if we don't, we make those adjustments, those resolutions. And also, when there's been need, we've had them on other meetings when departments have requested, and we come and do the fiscal impacts. So yes, the budget right now that you'll be hopefully approving tonight, it's not set on stone. We always can make changes. This is just a proposal, like it said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. I was told that we only have, can you hear me? We only have 2 commissioners. We're missing 2 commissioners, so please.
She's giving me like hand signals over there. We're missing 2. We only have 2
Measure H.
Measure H commissioners. So please apply, which is really important. Don't want to go through what we at one of the past council meetings. We had an individual that went up to the mic and said that supposedly the use of the Measure H wasn't being done properly in the past. So that needs to cease. We need to go forward on that. So having these commissioners is very, very important. So please apply for it so we can, continue on with those meetings.
I would like to make a note on that. I did make an attempt to meet with Measure H before my proposed budget on June 12th, and we didn't have a quorum. But I did email them the proposed Measure H, how it would look, and I did the detail that they requested. But I did try to make the attempt.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Fonseca, thank you very much for the presentation. I have a question for you. Please explain why the budget include a spending of 1,043,000 citizens for cortes de agua, por favor.
¿Puede repetir su pregunta?
Please, Ms. Fontaine, please explain why budget included a spending of 1,003,000 basis for work of the que vamos a pagar.
Oh, I think I understand. On Fund 605, the internals, our fund, the liabilities, we do have a 1.48, and that has to do with the water, the state. We had to put an allocation for that funds, and we put it on the 605.
Was that her question?
I mean, if that was the question she was referring to.
Yes.
Thank you. Any more questions from the council? And if not, I'll open up to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
No, I do.
Oh,
have-
you do?
Yes. So, Ms. Handy, could you touch upon how the budget incorporates the findings from and we don't have them readily available, but in brief, there's some sections in regards to policies, how we're formulating the budget to meet with what our state auditor's report outlined in findings from October of 2022, how we've moved to include what they're asking of the city.
You're talking about the 2022 state audit
Yeah,
that we received from the high risk. That report was done on previous years from 2015 to 2019 expenditures. And since then, we have implemented this strategy, having a 5-year plan in our budget to be having a reserve. And since then, we've been adding to our reserve. For example, on this budget, in our 5-year projection, we're estimating to have 68 days of reserve. And another one was the implementation of the recommendation of the bilingual, schooling in Spanish. And that is why I've been doing the quarterlies and the budget presentations, both English and Spanish.
In the way this is formulated, it is addressing the
Yes.
findings that this document entails.
Yes, and we also adopted some policies and some
Could
during
you-
that time.
Could you touch on a couple of the policies a little bit, maybe one or two?
Well, one of them was the reserve policy. The other one, the implementation of the fees. We've been implementing. One of them is actually the water rate study that we're going through right now. That they were the ones that recommended us to do it.
Correct.
So
So-
yes, that's how.
And that audit report came out in 2022.
Correct.
And since then, the city and staff have taken steps to address the findings outlined and meet the state auditor's criteria for reporting and creating reserves and doing fee studies, just like the water and sewer rate that was approved in 2023, and that's how we're going about it now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Raúl Ureña.
Muy buenas tardes, Mayor and Council. Requesting my accommodations for 4.5 minutes. It's budget season, and I think budgets are a critical part of city government where we get to cut through a lot of the political noise and focus on what is best for Calexico and focus on the realities of what are going on and unite ourselves around the things that all of our citizens absolutely want and absolutely need. I think this budget still reflects the financial legacy and the financial wisdom of Esperanza Colio. I'm very happy to see translations here present today. It is an acknowledgement that we're a binational, multilingual community, and that is very much in line with the state recommendations to have bilingual budget processes. So I thank you for that. I'm very happy to see that the ARPA numbers were updated and they were right in front of us. There has been a lot of political noise as to what the ARPA expenditures have been. And just to report to the community, the ARPA expenditures in attachment A, $1 million for police and fire vehicles, $1 million for employee bonuses before Plan B, less than $500,000 for essential worker relief. The biggest piece was facilities, fixing all the roofs in the city government, which is $2.5 million. Fire station improvement, and then $200,000, and city equipment one-time items, $1 million. By accepting this budget, we are also accepting that the priorities from the previous administration have not changed, and that is a great symbol of unity, that we have always agreed, and that there was really nothing wrong with the ARPA budget, that the ARPA budget reflects truly what our needs are. And at the present time, as a city, when we approve this without making any changes, we are affirmatively saying we're on the right track and we are in unity, and that is a good thing. Another thing that continues to be clear and continues to be said across administrations is the need for revenue. And I believe this is where we can most unite us across political differences for a better city. And it is this reality that we need more revenue. And as crazy as it may sound, the three sources of revenue that are less likely to affect the average Calexico residents are three: a utility user tax, a vacant lot tax, or a sales tax adjustment, given that most of the shoppers in the city are not Calexico residents themselves. Most Calexico residents shop in El Centro, San Diego. Unfortunately, it's a trend that most of the shoppers in the city are visitors from Mexicali. Any one of these proposals will cut through all the political noise, will fully fund our parks, fund our streets, and just affirm the right direction that we are going in. The previous administration left a lot of projects on track, some of them financial and some of them projects, a transit center on the way, a New River project that is financially feasible, almost done, a good ARPA plan that I'm sure will not change after the vote today. We have healthy reserves that we have not seen, state minimum for at least 8 years. The last sales tax report was the highest it has ever been since the disaster in 2015. So I really would urge Mayor and Council, this is an opportunity for us to cut through the political noise, to unite as Calexico citizens with what Mr. Contreras has specified continues to be the goal for the city. We're not going to make it with current revenues. We have to identify a source of new revenues, and that can be uncomfortable. Nobody likes more charges. Nobody likes more taxes. Nobody likes more fees. Let's pick the ones that are least likely to hit the regular Calexico resident, and let's get this city moving forward. And I put my word in this public dais that if any of these initiatives are proposed on the November ballot, if I may just finish in this sentence, if any of these initiatives are proposed, if any of these initiatives are proposed on the November or March ballots, independently of what administration proposes them, independently of which administration proposes them, I will support them because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
June Kim.
I believe past council and this council, they like to increase the fees, increase the revenue from the citizens' pocket. Instead of the helping to have a better environmental issues, and the business in Calexico is going down, and now the city of Calexico, they raised the meters double. It's almost like Los Angeles. That's gonna be hurt. And several times the people that in front of me today, they got tickets, so they really got mad. And now we have doubled it. The citizens needs help from the city, but it looks like a city wants citizens to be there for the city's necessary. Cities supposed to be help the citizens, environmentals, and they can help each other. They work hard to get the food on the tables. But City of Calexico, they're trying to increase the water. The chlorine issues was when they former project, they were there, chlorine issues. They said that they're gonna be taking care of it, but it looks like they didn't. Then where is that money? All money goes about $60 million from the few years ago when they bonded for water and waste. And today I found it in the budget. City of Calexico has a water and wastewater account, $63 million there. And now city wants to raise more. And now city wants to charge more fees. Now city wants to charge more taxes. So I call the city council wants to citizens open their pocket, regardless of what citizen necessary. And please think about it. The last thing is increasing the expenditure of the citizens. It's supposedly to booming the business, to make them help the business, make the help for the more, they can have they can create more revenue, not because they're charging more. That's wrong directions. I understand some inflations they might going, but City of Calexico is way over. They are try to sneaking citizens' pocket for city necessary. Thank you.
Jesus Solano.
Jesus Solano, 426 Roosevelt, Calexico. I'm here, as you know, earlier, I forwarded some information to all board members. And I am also requesting my additional time. Why? I have 11 surgeries. And I know, Mr. Camilo, you'll give it to me. Is that justifiable? No. Why? Because it's not covered under the ADA or under the Brown Act or under the government code 12926J all the way to J. Why? Okay? I know, I'm getting back on track.
Thank you.
I'm just bringing that up, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So this is just, you need to be fair across the board, okay? There's nothing in the law that permits
Mr. Solano,
that extra time.
Let's go back.
Only if you need an interpreter under the Brown Act.
Let's go back to the budget.
Yes,
We can bring
okay.
this back. Thank you.
Let me get back on track, excuse me. I just want to make sure that, we've been talking about ARPA funding for quite a while. I just want the commitment from this council and from our city manager that you will not be pulling ARPA funding from Rodriguez and from Cordova. I need that commitment from you. I know that the city needs money, but at the same time, I want to thank this board, I want to thank the city manager, I want to thank staff for working on the issue on the waivers. We're getting on track, I really appreciate that. As you know, we have a group of volunteers. We are going to be participating. There's a lot of work that can be done downtown and in the parks. We don't need an engineer for that. The city does need an engineer, but however, there's a lot of repairs that can be done and maintenance, and we're willing to do that, but we will need the funding that has been allocated. One thing is for the money to be allocated, but then at the same time, you as board members, as policymakers, and city managers, you can always go in there and pull that money, okay? So I want the commitment from you, because if we're gonna start this group of volunteers, you need to consider us as unpaid employees. We're volunteering our time. Why? Because we know there's money there. Why? Because we know that the city does not have money allocated for staff and sometimes for material, but however, there is money allocated there, so leave that money there. Let us, the volunteers, take care of the parks. There's a lot of repairs that we can do, and a lot of repairs downtown that we can do too. So that's only my request. And take into consideration what I submitted earlier, please.
Thank you, Mr. Solano. So I'll bring this back to the council.
I do have one more question. Are you going to? No. Ms. Sandy, can you also touch upon, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the findings in the audit report was the timely adoption of the budget? Right, about adopting it on time.
Well, it's because if we adopt it today, we will be able to open our doors and have everything as operational. Sorry, the interpreter cannot hear. Yes. By adopting the budget before July 1st, that allows us, the cities and the staff and the city manager, to make any operational movements moving forward.
Okay. Why is it we adopt it before July 1st?
Why?
Yes, so what's the calendar, the type of calendar that our city
Oh,
government?
because we're in a fiscal year.
Yeah, okay. So just
Yeah, we work
wanted,
from July to June.
Okay, just wanted to have that on record. Those are all my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I just want to go back to something that was said. You know, this is a live document. You know, this is not something that we set in stone, and that you know, what we say right now, that's how it's going to be. And we can move, we can come back and you know, prioritize, you know, the need. So that's really what a budget is also. You know, it's a projection, it's a picture, you know, snapshot of our finances. And I want to go back to what has been alluded so many times. You know, that the audit, the state audit, whether it's compliance of translation services, whether it's having a budget that is adopted on a timely manner, and it's right here, it's right here that was one of the recommendations, that we should be adopting this budget unless non-reliable, or let me go back and quote, allow the city council to approve the annual budget only if it has certain reliable financial data available. If the city council does not approve the budget, required to suspend non-essential spending until the budget is approved. So of course, we don't want to be in that predicament. But again, I want to keep this open, not just for council, but for all of you. We hear that, there are a lot of needs, there are a lot of requests, and we're going to make sure, or we're going to try to keep all those requests as it was put in the budget. But, time here and there, we will come back, but it will be also bringing it back to you for your consideration and your input. So we're trying to be adherent to what the audit, to the direction that we were given, to be in compliance, to make sure that we're able to go back and some of these things that were done, already had an impact or had a result, on freezing some of the monies. But then also, there's some other things that were suggested where we needed to diversify our revenue sources, not depending on just on grants. And even sometimes when we go for grants, we don't have the capacity because, and they mentioned it here, because of the staffing levels. But diversifying, what they were suggesting also, going back and really having a very strong economic development component, where we can generate revenues other than, what we know, one-time funding. So that's the one piece that I will go back to for now and make sure that we diversify, make sure that we go back. And I've said it before, that we need to invest also on having someone who will attract and retain economic development. All these ideas, and we're open to all ideas, whether it's a tax measure, but I think it's always kind of like the same, conclusion, let's go to that. To me, that will be one of the last options, because, yeah, we have all these things in front of us. Water rate study that we're going to be bringing back. And again, this is not to punish you. This is not because this council decided. This is actually something that was also brought up on the audit, where we were actually behind and in need of a water rate study. So this is not something that this council is putting on you or is punishing you. It's just what it takes to do business. And we cannot continue to be a status quo. In order to maintain operations, and even in order to maintain the status quo, we need this revenue, but if we need to maintain, the levels or increase a little bit of the levels of the staffing, we need to generate at least every year at least $1.2 to $1.4 million. So where is that going to come from? I mean, I can't go to you. I mean, we have to really come up with the strategies. And to me, economic development is one. But again, we're here to discuss the budget. I know that, let the record show that Mr. Moreno joined us and he's here. So, Mr. Moreno, I don't know if you have any comments on the budget or anything that you can add.
Thank you, Mayor. I thank you for acknowledging me, first of all, and I believe the community that's spoken, the community is very sensitive in terms of moving forward with what we have, this budget. Personally, I like to see more from the department heads, more of a itemized list of what they need, what's it going to cost, so we can search for ways and to find those monies. And during these times, post-pandemic, it's been really hard for our city. But I believe that we have the best intention. Like the mayor said, the water rates are going to come up. But I can tell you that I'm not gonna vote for the water rates if the citizens don't want the water rates. Increase the water rates, okay? But if it's needed, it's a decision we have to make. But everything we do here in Calexico, it's where do we get the money from, right? But at the end of the day, we have services. You pay money for, you expect the services. And if those services are not there, then you start questioning. And the budget, it's a way for you to voice your opinions. And we want to be as transparent as you can, but we also want to be realistic that if the money's not there, it's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, we rely on your input, whether if it's good or bad input, right? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. With that,
I have one more speaker. Maritza Hurtado.
Maritza Hurtado, 404 East 2nd Street, Calexico, business owner. I do have a question with regard to analyzing the fiscal year that we just closed. Usually, how long does it take to have the actuals? In other words, the actuals, is it about 2 months after, I think, about now?
We will be presenting those in October.
Okay, in October. That's good to know. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
thank you. Any more public comments? With that,
Council Mayor, I do have a question. One more. I have one more ask, and if the fellow council would support maybe this one change now, or staff could carry out the request and bring back more information at a later date, and we do an amendment. Under the ARPA one-time allocations, how the $4.4 million is to be spent, it's under city equipment / one-time items. It's outlined for planning consultant. I'd like to see if staff could maybe do an RFP or bring back some options to change that to an economic development consultant. I know that there's a lot working locally, and we'd benefit from, if it's a one-time, maybe we could one-time put it towards an economic development consultant, because that's being used with the ARPA money as a one-time city equipment item. So I'd like to see that repurposed potentially soon.
okay, so
So it's on page 2 under city equipment / one-time items. It's listed as planning consultant, and from my understanding, that's part of what the ARPA money is to be used for. So I'd like to see the one-time money be used for the economic development consultant, and so you'd have to do the RFP process. But if you could switch that, please.
Planning consultant? Correct?
Yes. It's on page 2 under city equipment / one-time items.
If you see on that one, the allocation was 154,000, and it has been expended already. There's no allocation available for that.
Oh, so why is it listed on the one-time items here? So that's what's already been spent, but it's being proposed in the 2024-2025?
No, this one, the allocation, on this line is the allocations, and this is how much it has been spent. And it was spent in the fiscal year 23-24, and the one that we're closing.
The one that we're closing, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Oh, then I got that confused.
So, but even with that, I know that we're not doing future agenda items, and that, you know, I will really entertain something like that, and we can bring this back on the agenda. But if we can start thinking, you know, this is not direction yet, but you know, in bringing and rather than one-time money, because this has to be, you know, sustainable. You know, this has to have, you know, sustainability, not just one time. But I definitely would like to see that we bring, you know, an economic development, you know, person within our staff. I know that, you know, a few months ago we did away with that, which when, you know, political things, you know. But you know, I definitely would like to see something that, you know, we can bring back and that it has sustainability. not just from one-time monies, but again, we can bring this back or as a form of a future agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff.
Any other public comments from this council? With that, if not, I will entertain a motion on this item to approve the budget.
So move.
Do you have a second?
The second.
So, have a roll call.
Mayor Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Councilmember Gloria Romo. Councilmember Victor Legaspi.
Yes.
Councilmember Lisa Thailenda.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank
With that, we will go back to closed session. So we're not done here, so don't go. So it's about 7:40 p.m. So we adjourn to closed session again.
We're not
Oh,
doing future
actually,
agenda items?
well, we go to a closed session. But do we have another item?
We have future agenda items.
No, we can.
Okay.
I can come back.
Session at about 8:06 p.m. Closed session announcement.
No reportable actions from a closed session.
Thank you. And do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Yeah, so
Second.
Second.
So roll call. So go.
Mayor Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Javier Moreno.
yes.
Councilmember Gloria Romo is absent. Councilmember Victor Legaspi.
Yes.
Councilmember Lisa Taylena.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So I adjourn this meeting at about 8:07 p.m.